Check the mic and make sure it sound right, boys.
Cole Jurgens.
Michael Moore.
Highly Uncircumcised. What's happening?
It is highly uncircumcised. It's actually highly uncircumcised weather in California today. We never have that. So
Man.
It's interesting. I was telling you that my dogs haven't been out yet. And when you have huskies, they got to get out like literally 5 miles a day, whether it's walk, run, anywhere, right? And they haven't been out yet. So we will see, because it's so raining, we will see how they act throughout this episode. Hopefully they're not crazy.
Well, the show takes priority over everything, including your kids
including my kids. Absolutely.
Even if you have to use the bathroom, you have to just use it on yourself. So just know that going forward.
A bottle underneath the right now my dogs are so cute. They're looking out the window like, excuse me, like, why are we not outside? We have no problem with this weather. I have a problem with this weather. I don't want to go outside. I will. I'm gonna have to if it doesn't stop, but I'd rather it stop.
Yeah, the rain actually woke me up this morning. It was kind of nice, kind of cool, but you know,
the rest of the world is like, oh, seriously, like rain. Seriously, that's the joy of living in Southern California. Like, ooh, we're having weather. Ooh.
What's weather? You mean 100 degrees every day is not the rest of the country's condition?
So you mentioned that you have a topic to discuss today, and I'm going to assume it has something to do with your children, considering what I'm seeing.
That's probably true. But before I get into that, I just wanted to tell everybody Nicole is actually a real person. I forgot that she was actually a sort of tangible, animated human being. I got to see her last week. I haven't seen her for like 2 years, so that was interesting.
And you mean in person? In person, we went to lunch last week, which was very nice because you needed a hug. It was very important that we had hugs. We let it get weird. We did a little rocking. Like
I was gonna say, like your hugs actually leave me with lower back problems.
You said before it helps crack your back. You're like, oh yeah, it feels good.
Yeah, but you added the rocking mechanism now, so it's kind of like. Anyway, yeah.
So I hope it helped. I hope it helped.
It was nice. I was very happy to see you. That's the longest I've gone without seeing you, so that was weird.
That's true.
So okay, to the show. Here we go.
Mm-hmm.
Giving a lot of thought to a certain topic. Now, for those of you who don't know, these are my wonderful 3 children. That's my son Moses, my daughter, my eldest. You can't even see my finger. My eldest daughter Naomi, and my youngest daughter Noah. My top 4 favorite people in the world, so love them a whole lot. And so they made me think about something though. So about this whole shooting thing that happened. Was it Minnesota actually? Wasn't it somewhere up there? Or maybe it was Wisconsin.
I thought it was Chicago, or maybe there's more than one.
The one, well, specifically the one where the boy's parents have now been charged with a crime because of his crime.
I thought that was Chicago, but I didn't follow it.
You could be right. I just know it's like, that North Midwest feel kind of thing. And so anyway, it made me think about something, which was, as much as I love these 3 individuals, would I want to serve what would amount to a life prison sentence for any one of their mistakes? Now, I would go to prison for one of them, or die for one of them, or kill for one of them if it was necessary. So it's not just the mere fact that you're going to prison, but going to prison for anyone, right? Including my wife, my kids, my brothers, my mom, anybody, for something that they did, right? And I was not in concert with them, right? We didn't like rob a bank together, or can't even think of anything, blow something up together, right? Oklahoma City bombing together, or something, right? If it's just they were going through something in life, they made a decision to go do something completely horrific like this young man did. I guess we'll just say it's Chicago, where it killed, I want to say it's 4 people, 4 kids, 4 other kids, right? So 4 sets of parents have lost a child because of this young man. Would I in any way, shape, or form be okay with serving a prison sentence because I went and bought a gun and my son or 2 daughters decided to commandeer that gun and go do something ridiculous with it? So that is why I have the lovely picture of them behind me. So to give context for all the people, and also it's just the spirit of the show. So what do you think?
I think it's a really interesting question, and again, I'll have to go and actually learn more about this whole incident. But from what I can tell you from my limited knowledge, is what I read why they are going after the parents, because from also what I read that legally you can't, you don't hold parents responsible for sins of their children, right? It's not
Oh,
a
but you do.
that's not, well,
While they're
maybe
minors.
maybe morally, but not,
No, legally.
judiciously. Really?
Yeah,
When?
legally. I couldn't tell you when, but I can tell you that you are culpable for your kids' illegalities until they're 18 years old.
I have heard of no story where parents have gone to jail because their kids have done something. Mostly what you see is kids go to juvie, right? I've never once heard of. Now, it doesn't mean it hasn't happened, but I haven't once heard it. And so that's what would make this case interesting if legally that becomes a precedent, right? But I also heard, and again, I have to do way more research in this to talk intelligently about it, but I also did hear that the reason why they are going after the parents is that there was a note that basically from the child explaining his devastation and that he can't handle it anymore and he's going to do something. Didn't necessarily say shoot all these kids, but that he was going to do something, and that they knew that he had access to their gun and they knew that it was loaded. This is what I read, the reasoning for them taking the parents in. So to me, it would seem like they are taking them in as almost what is it when you work with somebody or aid and abet somebody in a crime?
You're an accessory.
Yes, as almost an accessory. Now, I need to know a lot more about this to understand it well, but that was my very limited understanding of why they were doing that.
So from what I understand, and I may have a little bit more information than you do on this, it wasn't that he wrote a letter saying that he was going to do anything. It was that he has a history of issues at school, which are kind of mental illness type issues, but he still was like, these normal classes and all of that kind of stuff. But he was a problem, a behavioral problem. And so he had his teachers and the administration and all that kind of stuff worried about his behavior, and his parents frequented the school on his behalf. And they were actually there, if I understand correctly, they were there in the morning of the incident. They weren't there when the incident took place, but they had been there. And so anyway, he had written some sort of very dark, it's not a manifesto because that means you were actually planning on something and we're laying out what you were going to do. I think this was like for some class. He claims it was for some class, and he wrote some story about carnage or whatever. I don't know specifically what that one was about. But anyway, and it was pretty dark. And so it tipped off the teacher, and the teachers went to the principal and all that kind of stuff, and all that stuff got started. Well, the real reason why the parents are in trouble, from what I understand, is because the dad went gun shopping with the son, but the dad actually bought the gun, which was legally purchased, and then basically stored it in a place that wasn't locked away or anything like that.
Accessible for the child.
Yeah, the son knew where it was
and loaded.
I mean, if it wasn't loaded, he obviously had the ammunition, and the son was able to get the ammunition and load it himself. So it seems like they actually did activities where they went, like, a lot of fathers and sons go shooting and all that kind of stuff. So that is why they're being held, because their activities are deemed to be so negligent that they are actually culpable for his crime. Now, these parents are actually looking at like real prison sentences, right? This is not like, hey, 2 years, 2 to 5 or something like that. This is like 25 to life.
Wow.
For each one of the parents. Why the mom is on the hook, I'm not necessarily sure, but I guess because they're both parents and they live in the same home and have the same ability to lock away a gun, I guess that's probably why she's on the hook. Because from everything that I've seen, the dad actually did all the sort of gun activities that led to him being able to have this gun to take to school and kill some people. And so when I first heard, let me just tell you what my first reaction was. When I first heard like the parents were on the hook for this thing, I was like, yeah, finally, like somebody needs to be held responsible for this stuff these kids are doing, and all these different school shootings we've had over the last, actually probably 20 years now, because Columbine was like 20 years ago, I think, at least. And so anyway, they're like the first people kind of being held responsible. But as time has sort of rolled on and I'm less emotionally, thinking this thing through and more critically thinking it through, I kind of gave thought to like, what?
Don't think for yourself. That's not, you're not supposed to do that. You're not supposed to do that.
Can you not interrupt my pearls of
can't
thought
believe
and wisdom?
You thought critically. That is banned in society. Okay, carry on.
Nicole, our next episode can be how just disappointed you are with
with your critical thoughts. Don't do that. Only listen to what the media tells you, and then that's your thought. That's it. Do not think for yourself. Okay, sorry. You can think for yourself with me. I will allow it.
I appreciate that. I'm gonna take you up on that. And so in thinking about it, I was just really thinking very simply, like, how would I feel about being on the hook for one of my kids' just ridiculous behavior? How fair is it? If I didn't literally aid and abet them, like I didn't drive my son to school with the gun, knowing he was going to unload it on some kids and basically just do that and drive away, and just so clearly negligent, so clearly just no conscience in my activity at all. I don't necessarily know if I understand or agree with the parents being on the hook, as really ridiculous as I think they are. And I do think they're ridiculous, right? I mean, if being ridiculous and stupid was a crime, like 90% of society would be locked away.
Yeah, it would be the 90% that think they're really smart right now. Well, and that's just the thing. You can't, this is why I talk about a legal precedent, is that I truly don't know of any parent that's ever gone, because I don't think you can. And when you start setting a legal precedent that says that because somebody was in your house, now you're culpable for what they go out and do because they're minor, and you set a very big precedent. Now somebody, we get into the area of thought crimes, well, you should have known but you didn't. And like, I don't think that you can do that even as parents. Like, think about it like this, is like, how good of a parent you are. But what if for some reason one of your child, unbeknownst to you, has mental breakdown and does some stupid, crazy shit? Like, why? You would 100% hope. I would hope that I would know. I would hope that I could stop it. But there is things that happen that now all of a sudden you have to go to jail because this person was your child. Like, I can't see how we can start going down that path in society, because then again, it's just like all the stuff we talk about, when we allow governmental regulations more and more and restrictions, it's slippery slope to less and less free society. Well, now your neighbor did something. Is it your fault? You should have known your neighbor. You knew they had 28 guns over there. Well, because you knew it, and now they blew up a shopping center. Are you culpable? Like that, I think it would be very hard without act. That's why I feel like they must have something more, or they're really reaching to bring these parents in, because I don't think we can start that legal precedent. I don't think we can. I want to say that, yes, you should know as a parent, you should know, and you should be responsible. But you cannot criminalize somebody because their kid did something very, very stupid and sad. You know, you just
So, and actually, you can extrapolate this out to sort of its sort of furthest, iteration or possibility, which would be, so we've all heard the whole see something, say something, right? But the one thing I haven't heard is if you see something and don't say something, you're on the hook for not saying something, right? So we can even remove the fact that the nature of the relationship is parent-child, right? Just citizen we can talk about right now, right? So you and I are close and we've known each other for some years. So it's likely that if you've had some crazy thoughts that, we've actually shared thoughts that we're joking about that literally would
well, I think
have
that's a
us.
really great point, because that's the thing. Once you allow this kind of legal precedent, where does it end? Oh, well, my
Exactly.
friend told me
So
it was a joke, but my friend said they were going to blow up something, and then by some fucking, 0.00001%
they actually
chance they
do
actually
it.
do it. Now
Right.
you're like, you can't start. That's where you start to get into the big brother stuff. Like you can't start adding that into legal precedent for life. I mean, is it sad that this kid did this? Yes. Do you wish the parents knew? Yes. Do we know anything about the parents? No. Maybe they were great parents and they really never ever thought their kid would do it. We don't know. But to say that they're responsible without honestly knowing, like you said, that they're responsible, without honestly with his dad saying, yes, son, take this into school and shoot some kids, or I'm going to bring you while you shoot, without that, there should be no reason they should be going to jail.
Or even something as sort of innocuous as the son texting the mom or dad and saying, hey, I'm feeling really bad. I'm really feeling like I just want to shoot this place up, and so forth and so on. And you basically texting back, well, that would be a bad idea. Don't do that. Just come home or see a movie or something like that. Then he actually shoots up the school. So am I on the hook because I didn't actually call the police or didn't call the school? Now, understand, from a just right and wrong standpoint, I feel that it's wrong when you know that there's a good possibility, right, of something devastating happening and you don't say something. So once again, as a parent, if I know one of my kids is having an emotional crisis and they tell me some stuff that even as a parent, I know that if someone else's child was saying this to their parent, I would be hoping and praying that the parent actually called the school or did something to try and mitigate what could possibly happen, right? On a right and wrong level, I feel that the parents are wrong. So what I'm really trying to get out right now with you, the conversation is really a legal thing, right? Because let me just say that morally, I feel the parents are absolutely wrong.
Well, and again, though, by the way, we don't really have the information of what the parents did. I don't know what they did. I don't know, maybe they, like you said, they were talking to the school. Maybe they have been in talks. Maybe they have been trying to get them help. Maybe we don't know that. All we have are headlines, right? And to make judgments on them as parents, we don't know. It's very easy for us to do. Because again, I would, oh God, I'd hope to God that would never, ever happen to me. And I like to say that there's no possible way, but you don't know. So that's all you can really talk about is the legal precedent. And like I said, that's what I hope, that they're not trying to change it in this case. And I really don't think, or I hope that our courts are smart enough to not allow it.
So a couple 2-3 years ago, a good friend of mine had some money stolen out of her purse at her local Trader Joe's.
For our viewers, that would be me.
Oh, okay. I didn't want to just put you out there without permission.
Okay.
Yeah. So my good friend Nicole Jurgens
it was not a small amount of money.
It was a massive amount of money.
$8,000
to normal people. Yes,
well, because we, as poker players, often have
we carry cash. Right.
And I always had my whole life until this happened, and I learned my damn lesson when I knew better, anyways. And that's what I get.
Well, that's actually not the point of my story, but I'm glad to hear that you learned your lesson. Good for you. Nicole had this $8,000 stolen from her purse at Trader Joe's near her home. And she told me about it, the next day or whatever. I saw her and we were just joking around as we do. And I told her, I was like, dude, I'm blowing up Trader Joe's.
Blow up
Dude,
that
I'm
Trader
coming down
Joe's.
there. I'm going to strap plastic explosive to every corner of the place. They're not even going to see me coming, bro. It's going to be Matrix type stuff. Duffel bags, black clothes, blow it up. You see her laughing right now. We went off on this. We went off.
It was funny, but now imagine you don't know the story and you think, holy crap.
He threatened to blow up Trader Joe's and she didn't say anything.
And she was laughing. She's
She
probably a
was
part of it.
laughing. Now, for hypothetical purposes, if I actually blew up Trader Joe's or even blow up Trader Joe's, should you be on the hook for that?
No, of course not. Because that's where we're getting into, we're crossing the line into thought crime. It's like, I should have known that this wasn't a joke. I should have known what you were thinking. I should have done something, and that's what you can't do, even when it's parents of children. You can't cross out, oh, you should have done something, all self-righteous and I'm offended. But it's called personal responsibility, and we're losing it a lot in society and even for children. And it's fucking sucks. And that is our role as parents, to teach them that. Right. But when they do something, you can't be held responsible unless you're literally helping them do something. You can't be like, you should have known. Yeah, I wish I would have fucking known. Assuming these, let's assume that we don't know, and let's assume these are actually really good parents and they really love their kid. I mean, this situation is, they're going to live with it the rest of their life. It's going to be terrible. It's going to be, they have their own jail cell for the rest of their life, right? Whether or not they actually go into a real one. So this idea that, you can't, like you said, that same story, we laughed about it all the time in the casino, at the table, because we were so mad at Trader Joe's for doing nothing about it and for not having cameras.
No cameras,
no but of course,
whatsoever.
it's my own responsibility. It's my fault. I left my purse literally sitting there, like perfect, just sitting right on the front carriage of the cart, wide open. They didn't take my whole purse. They literally just grabbed my wallet out of my purse. It was wide open right for them, and I'm sure they were so like, wow, $8,000. Like they just, and that's my fault. Like, obviously criminals fucking suck and I want to dick punch all of them, but it was my fault for leaving it open there. That's personal responsibility. But we did say those all the time at the poker table, like, oh, we're going to be in there with a duffel bag, standing in the back with dynamite. And we said these crazy things. And like, if you can put people in jail, and now let's say I go do it. Now, if they can put you in jail, it's the same as, one of your kids doing it. It's the same thing. You can't do that. You literally can be like, what? No, we were joking. Like this, I never knew this could actually happen.
So I know I've heard you say this throughout this conversation, but maybe I'm trying to get at more detail. Or let me ask you this question. Are you saying that the line of responsibility as it pertains to the person who did not actually perpetrate a crime, right? So in this case, you wouldn't have perpetrated the crime. I would have blown up Trader Joe's, right? But you had foreknowledge that this was at least in my head, right? Are you saying that the line of responsibility for you or anybody else who's just in the know is simply whether or not they help the person commit the crime? So that so let me just sub question B would be, so you're saying that you never have responsibility as long as you're not actually aiding and abetting?
I don't think so. I think if you honestly know, like if I honestly knew that you were truly planning this and the courts can prove that I honestly knew. That's the hard part about the justice system, right? They have to prove that I honestly knew, right? Because if I'm not aiding and abetting, they have to prove that I knew it somehow. I don't know how they would do that, but
well, I'll tell you how. Just hold on. I'm sorry to interrupt you, but I'll tell you how they would know, so you can even have more information to answer this question. You and I have actually texted back and forth about this jokingly. We both know the spirit of our text is 100% humor, right? But someone reading our text, third party, could be like, she absolutely knew this dude had been talking. And how long has it been? 3 years, 4 years, something like that? Like, it's just a running joke with us, right? Every time I pass Trader Joe's on the way to your house, I laugh because I think about that. right?
Well,
But
and again, I think that's where, so maybe this is what's happening to the parents. They have to bring them into court, and they're going to question them, just like let's say they took me into court and they questioned me and they said, we think you knew. We think you knew and didn't tell us. And now we have to go and tell the story. Like, no, this is why. And this is, and then we show the text and we show the emojis that we put the funny gifs and the emojis with it. And like the reason why is because this is a joke, you know, and you have to explain that. They have to be able to prove without a doubt that you knew and didn't tell somebody. And that's, I think, much harder to do. I think it's possible, you know, but I think it's much harder to do that. And that's why I think they're going to run into problems with these parents, unless they literally said to him and they have proof. Oh yeah, you should go blow up your school. Oh, I have no problem if you take my gun to school. Oh, let me help you take, you know, unless they can literally have proof of that, I think they can't convict, according to our current legal justice system. And I agree with that. I don't think you can, because then you get into thought crimes. You get into, well, we knew what you were thinking and you were thinking he should do it and you let him. And I don't think we can go into that realm, because it'll be very scary where we end up if we do.
So let me just be super provocative and just play devil's advocate here and whatever. So let's look at Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell, okay? Yeah, because it's in the news right now. Because
did you see all the memes and like, and this happened, and Epstein didn't kill himself? And
yeah,
have you seen all those? Like,
yes.
Sky is blue and the grass is green and the day is beautiful and Epstein didn't kill himself.
Oh my God. By the way, just as a side, the judge ruled today that they cannot open up her black book. It's so foul. The whole thing
the whole
so
case
foul.
is foul. I mean, it's all just performative trash.
I mean, come
There's
on.
no
they
way
can't
all
open
these
up her black book that literally shows all these perverts that are like these rich
all the
men
elite
of high society that participated with Epstein, and we know a couple. But anyway, that's
people have gotten
ever.
Pictures of the book. I mean, it's basically every name, every big actor, every big person in government, every big presidents, everything. I mean, it's all.
Well, I haven't seen it. You got to tell me where this. I'd love to see all the names. I just know about 10 names maybe that came out in depositions or whatever before, but
yeah, basically everybody. I mean, that's why they're not going to, they're like, oh, it's federal, so you can't see this in court. Get the fuck out of here. They could
the judge simply said she didn't want unnecessary name dropping.
Exactly.
I was like, unnecessary name dropping, dude. We're talking about a pedophilia sex ring. Like, what are you talking about?
It's all just performative. They're gonna do something with her that's a slap on the wrist, or she's gonna get Epstein. One of the two. Like, there's no way anything derogatory against any of the establishment is going to come out. They have too much invested. There's no way.
She's the safest human being on earth right now. Her life is safer than the president of the United States. They would make sure nobody could touch her because it would be so obvious they had Epstein killed.
I bet that Epstein felt that same way too. Trust me, if it's something is important enough, they'll find a way.
Okay, well, I'll just go with you on that. But anyway,
they'll say she died of COVID.
Yeah, in 2 days. In 2 days.
Omicron. She had Omicron and she died. Look at this, everybody. We need 8 more boosters.
It was the what do you call it? Zeta. It was the Zeta variant, the last of the Greek alphabet. It was the worst ever. It kills in 2 days. 2 days. Anyway, so back to my question. So Ghislaine Maxwell's defense could be, right? If I was her lawyer, I'd be throwing all these different things out to see what sticks. But she could literally say, Jeffrey Epstein was a rich guy and I worked for him and we were friends and all that kind of stuff. And he was a fan of having massages every day, right? Because he obviously could afford it. And so because he's this rich, powerful guy, he doesn't want to go procure his own, masseuse daily. So he hired me to do that. And so I would hire girls to come give him massages for a couple $100. I didn't know he was actually raping them. Because they would go into a room, do the thing, and then she would come out and I would take her back to wherever I found her and pay her.
Well, I mean, I think you just explained how she's going to get off. It's all performative. Like none of this
No,
trial
but my question for you is simply, couldn't that be the defense for anybody and everybody at all times that
yes.
I didn't know?
Yes, if you can prove that you didn't know. So that's on lawyers to prove that you did. That's the whole reason why we have a justice system that works. You hope, right? That the judges aren't bought off and that they're doing their job, is that they have to prove that you knew. They have to find a way, because if you start just convicting people based on the fact that you think they knew, again, that's just thought crime. They just decided that you knew. Even as guilty as she looks to us, the judge has to prove it. The problem, what we know, is that they're not going to. And the lawyer has to prove they're not going to. We know this is all just trash. But we know from right now, just like we knew OJ was guilty, and we know so is she. But
whoa.
Watch out. He's guilty now too. But
no, I 100% think he's guilty now, but I'm not going to lie, no matter how bad it makes me look, and because there was millions like me. So all of you people who are like, whatever. When OJ thing was going on,
you
I thought
are also thinking more critically nowadays.
And it could be that as well, or it could just be like we have far more information that came out even after the trial and all that kind of stuff. But I thought there was definitely a good possibility that he was innocent of actually killing them. But I think I always thought he at least had something to do with it, like he knew the person, or hell, he could have driven the person or whatever. Like I always actually kind of thought he was protecting his oldest son. I forget his oldest son's name, but his oldest son hated Nicole Brown. So I kind of thought like OJ could be taking one for his son, hoping that he gets off. So anyway, yeah, don't put that on me. I didn't know he was guilty. Whatever.
Okay, so anyways, yeah, I mean,
whatever, dude. whatever.
Listen, yeah, I think we already answered your question there. Is like I think that our legal system was created for a reason, is to actually put people away that do crimes, actual crimes. You can't put people away because you think they're guilty. It has to be proven, otherwise we're just all guilty until proven innocent, not innocent until proven guilty. Like you can't live society that way.
No, that was not a kiss. That was. I have so much I'd like to say right now, but
why say it? Why do you hold it? Do you understand this is highly uncircumcised?
Okay, fine. I was going to say at the end of all that, says the privileged white lady.
I mean, you can think that however you want, but those are actually my thoughts.
No, of course they are. Of course they are. But a lot of thoughts come out of privilege. So anyway, so that wasn't necessarily the point of our conversation. So anyway, I think that I agree with you for the most part. I think a more nuanced thought from me would be, I do think there has to be sort of a line of delineation between I knew what the possibilities were, and I knew there was a great chance of this, right? Because, for instance, like the kid that we're talking about, his parents knew that he had issues, like major issues. Even more so than, like, for instance, like the Columbine kids, because I've seen documentaries and I've even heard interviews with their parents and so forth. And in my mind, they probably knew their kids were a little, outsider-ish and, all of that. But nothing that I've seen or read says they knew that their kids were capable of the type of carnage they inflicted on that school that day. Whereas the parents of this young man seem to have far more knowledge that this is a troubled individual. Like he's had some years of problems in the school system.
But again, that based on what we've heard so far, and whereas in Columbine you got to see follow-ups and documentaries and where more information. So that's why we have to be careful of judging people before we know. You and I know specifically how headlines and media you have a slant. So I'm not saying they're not culpable. I'm just saying we have to have a lot more information. And that's, what our judicial system is for. So if they really are culpable, they will go to court and we will see the court case and we will hear what they have to say about it. It's
But
right
in your
now,
mind, you basically need to hear that there was a text or an email or someone overheard a conversation in which the parents actually said, like, go ahead.
Yes, in my mind, there has to be actual proof, just like in court, there has to be. It cannot just be, well, you should have known. It cannot, no matter how bad it is, it cannot, because once you start that precedent, it's a very slippery slope. You can't just say you should have known. Like I said, the example I said earlier, it's like, well, I'm friends with my neighbor and I know he has 28 guns. And now he blows up a supermarket, right? With tons of people in it. Well, I should have known, he's my friend and I know he has 28 guns. I should have known that he was going to blow up a supermarket. I should have told somebody, you can't start drawing those lines. It's too much. We'll end up with a really, really crazy society.
By the way, there are definitely many precedents for parents having to take responsibility for kids' actions. I think this may be the first that you've heard of it because this is the actual largest on the scale of parents having to take responsibility. But there are school systems all over the United States where parents have to do like community service and pick up trash or even come to school with the kid, as a punishment to the parent because the parent knew of the kid's like truancy and tardiness and all that kind of stuff. So maybe that's why you necessarily haven't heard of it, because it's like all sort of much smaller level type stuff, not multiple homicides, but there are definitely precedents for parents having to take responsibility for bad parenting.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's how it works. You're talking about working with a school or work, and asking a parent to come in and be like, listen, we're having some trouble. We need you to come in and work in this situation. Like that's different than a court.
No, I'm saying the legal system has implemented these punishments on parents.
I haven't seen that. Like
I
said, I haven't, looked into it enough. So I would have to look into that, but I wouldn't know those cases or, have to see exactly how they went by it, went around that. How do they decide, when a parent has to do something I don't know. All I know is that to convict somebody for somebody else's crimes because they should have known, I think is a scary thought to me.
And actually, it kind of brings up, now that we're talking about this, it kind of brings up another thought for me, which would be the converse. Like, so you look at that whole college admissions scandal thing where parents were paying off schools and stuff to get their kids in that shouldn't have been there. They just got in because they were rich. What about the kids who knew their parents were doing this and took advantage of it and took the admissions to the schools and all that kind of stuff? So should the kids be on the hook as well? Because parents have literally gone to jail over this. Should the kids who took advantage of it go to jail as well?
And that's what I'm saying. Once you open up that Pandora's box, like that's too much. Like,
well, I'm asking you, what do you think?
No, I don't think that they should, but obviously I think it really hurt their future prospects, right? For them going along with what they should know. Nobody knows that they know for sure that their parents did this.
Some of these kids knew for sure because they were literally having to take promo pictures in like rowboats and stuff, like they were on the rowing team at their high school, because they knew that it was going to get them admission to a school based on athletic,
well, but then in that case, then they're actually complicit, right? I mean, that's different. They're actually complicit. If they actually knew, and you can prove it by, like, say, they took these pictures knowing, that would be in court. Well, why did you take these pictures of you rowing if you're not a rower, right? Like, that's complicit. That's not should or probable. Again, I don't know the specifics of that case either, just know broadly about it. But yeah, I mean, I think whatever happens, they could be charged with something. I mean, they're involved with that whole fraud, right? I imagine a judge could easily at least charge them with doing community service or something. I don't know what the whole legal precedent is, but yeah, I mean, they're provably complicit in the fraud.
I see. Do you have time for another question, or are you needing to?
Yeah, I'm super busy with all this stuff that I do, but I have
Well, no,
time.
you said you needed to maybe get the dogs out of the
I
house
do.
and all
Yeah,
that.
I will. Well, let's do one more question though.
Okay. What do you think, with my three beauties in mind, what do you think about kids being charged as adults for whatever crime?
That's a really good question. I don't like it. I really
I
don't.
don't like it.
I think our whole like I do, that our justice system. I'm not justice system. Our, what do you call it when they put them in jail? The prisons.
The penal system.
Yes, a penal system.
Prison. Yeah.
Yes, it needs some reformation. A lot. I mean, the whole point is to put people in there and reform them, not just put them in there
Rehabilitate them.
Yes,
not even reform. It's
rehabilitate them so
right.
they can come out as an upstanding member of
Productive
society.
members of society.
Right. And we don't do that at all. And then on top of that, we want to put children in there. Like, no, I mean, these, even though they've done terrible things, they're children. They need to go to children facilities. I really don't think that any child, no matter what they did, should be charged as an adult. They need help. And if they're ever going to be some kind of good person, they need to get that. They can't get that in an adult prison. I mean, how would they even make it? Imagine, so let's say a 14-year-old killed somebody, and so they put him away for life, which maybe 25 years for a 14-year-old. So they're going to get out and only be 40, not 39. And now what? Do you think that any possible way they could be some kind of member?
Well, they're going to be hardcore.
Yeah. How are they ever going to be some upstanding member in society? They're not. It's just going to perpetuate. Like, I don't like it. I don't like it at all.
So I have to be honest. I've given this a lot of thought over many, many, many years, because quite honestly, this definitely affects Black youth far more than it affects any other youth. But I'll try to just attack this from a, let's just say we're all equal human beings point of view. Here's why I think it's stupid. Stupid's the wrong word. Here's why I think it's not very well thought out by the people who make these decisions. No matter how heinous the crime, right? Murder, which is probably like, the most heinous of crimes, followed probably by rape or that kind of thing. The whole point of labeling a human being as a minor is because you are saying this person does not have a fully developed brain, right? They do not have a fully developed, fully formed character. They don't have enough wisdom in the tank. They don't have enough experience. They don't have enough knowledge to act on their own behalf, right? So kids 14, 15, 16 years old literally have to go through like legal processes just to emancipate themselves from their parents. If their parents were literally the worst parent on earth, right? And they just are saying, I'd rather be in the system and be a foster child than be up under these two or one individuals who are just horrible parents, right? Because they are minors, there are entities and people who make decisions for them until they reach what I can consider to be the arbitrary age of majority, which is 18. I mean, give me a break. There are not many 18-year-olds who act like fully formed adult humans, including me when I was 18. And so how is it that you're able to say, as the legal system or a legal scholar or just, officer of the court, what this kid did was so bad, we're going to charge them as though they are making fully adult, well thought out, critical decisions, right? I'm going to go to school and kill 4 people. You must have planned this for years in your basement and really thought, come on, it just doesn't make any sense. And I'm saying that as someone who, if God forbid one of my kids got hurt in one of these sort of mass shootings and all this kind of stuff, I would be so pissed and hurt and upset and looking for everyone to blame and all this kind of stuff. But I still say, like, I just don't get how you could ever, in any case, I can't think of any case, and there have been some really bad things that some people under 18 have done in this country, right? I can't think of a case where I'm just like, yeah, you know what? Charge him as an adult, put him under the jail, never let him out. It just seems so hypocritical and disingenuous to say you're gonna pay like an adult, even though up until this age, we've treated you like you are a child. I just don't get it, Nicole Jurgens.
I will go out on a limb here because I don't know how this policy got instituted, how they decided to try adolescents as adults, but I will go out on a limb and guess that somebody attempted it through a major trial that wanted to build their name, right? Some lawyer said, oh, I'm going to do this. This is a very heartfelt trial. There's emotions that are raging. And so I'm going to charge this kid as an adult, and we're going to try and set the precedent. And they won. And that's what happens. That's what I mean about setting legal precedent. Like, and again, I don't know. I can look into that and you can find out if that's truly the case.
I can tell you that these cases started back in the 1800s and late 1700s and all that kind of stuff. And it was a lot of times to inflict great harm on slaves, ex-slaves, ancestors of slaves.
So they have personal reasons rather than legal reasons to do this, which is,
well, that's the judicial system. It's made up of people.
Yes, it's life. It's made up of people, but our judicial system is supposed to be logic and reason, right? So yeah, I truly think that's something that they should get rid of. I think the most cases where they actually do that, it's in, highly emotionally charged situations where emotion is not meant to run even a little bit, even in courtrooms where it's very emotional and people do shit that kills families and it's very emotional. But the legal system is there for the logic and reason in the system, not to follow the emotion. And I don't agree with it. I don't know how it happened or started, but I think they should get rid of it. I don't think any child under 18, and I think there should be better programs to actually work with. I mean, these are the children that need the most help. Like, these are the ones that need, and I'm not, again, personal responsibility, I'm not at all giving them an out. I'm just saying that if you actually want them back in society, not hurting more people, like putting them in a jail for 25 years and they're growing up in a prison, you think that they're ever going to come out and be some kind of upstanding person? Probably very, very, very small percentage that's even possible.
Well, I can certainly say that as someone who's never really been criminal minded, I would have been most likely to do the craziest things of my life prior to 18 years old.
Yeah, well,
like I did a lot of rapid maturing in my life after I graduated from high school.
Well, you're literally, your brain is not even fully developed until 22 to 25 years old, literally, biologically. So the fact that it doesn't give them an out for kids to do this, but there's often, just like most criminals, there's often reasons they were raised in situations where they didn't have any family, they didn't have any assistance, they didn't need to end up in gangs, whatever it is, but a kid to then now grow up in the system, you think they're somehow going to come out. I mean, that's the whole point. And that's what we've forgotten in all of this, is that it's meant to be rehabilitation, not just a holding pen. And then we let you back out in society. That's not what it's meant to be, but it's somehow we're
all about
all of that.
Crime and punishment, not bettering our
and we don't consider that it's like it matters if for the greater good, if it's all about society. Is it? Like, here's just another situation where if it really is, then consider that and consider what we need to do to make it that way. This isn't for the better of society. This isn't for the better of anybody. It's not going to do anything.
There's definitely examples of much better run prison systems in the world, like in sort of like Scandinavian countries. Like, I saw a piece on 60 Minutes probably a year or so ago, where they literally have prisons full of guys who have committed murder or rape or robbery, and they don't even lock doors on their cells, right? There's no gates around the prison. I don't think there were like armed guards. They might have had like a little armory just for in case purposes, but essentially the prison, and they can get visitors, and I don't mean like visitors come to a plastic window and you hold a phone or something like that on the opposite side of a plastic window. I mean, they literally have family or wives, husbands that can come visit them and spend actual time, and there's actual physical contact between these people, right? And it created an environment in which the prisoners themselves put far greater responsibility on themselves to become better people. There wasn't like, we're gonna break out of here. We're gonna, we gotta escape. We're gonna hold some
form,
guards
form my
hostages.
gang within the, that's all I'm worried about is staying
just
safe.
nothing like that. And you're talking about guys who are committing the same heinous crimes that are being committed in America, right? So there's definitely much better examples to look at than the American penal system, and people who actually work in the penal system here will take like trips to different places, almost like conferences, and observe different prison systems. It would never ever change here because of the culture of this place, but yeah, there's definitely much better ways to have a prison system where you're not actually creating like just super
More
duper
chaos.
hardcore hardened, it could be much better.
Yes.
But anyway,
Agreed.
you definitely answered my questions.
Well, I'm glad I could help. I mean, I'm super helpful. And
yeah, I didn't say you were helpful. I just said you answered my questions.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right. Okay, you're welcome. Bye.
I love that you have such a high opinion of your
never
opinion.
falters. Never fall. Okay, sometimes. Okay, all the time. But anyways, for now. Okay, well, good. I feel like we worked ourselves out. We thought about some real shit for a minute. This is good. All right.
Did we solve any of the world's
I don't think we
ills?
solved it, but we discussed it. Maybe we'll work on solving it at a different time. The specifics. I think it can be solved. You said I don't think we'll ever change. I think we can. It takes committed people to make it change. Someone's got to be incredibly committed and get it started, and it can happen. It can happen. It's someone's got to take the lead. Maybe you take the lead. Maybe you do it. No. Okay. Well, then maybe.
No, I was, what I was actually just thinking about for some reason, looking at my own kids, I was thinking about my own upbringing, and I was just thinking, my dad it's not funny because it's probably sad, but I don't know. Anyway, you just laugh so you don't cry. I
have a feeling I'm going to know this story.
We've talked, but my dad used to actually tell me like he wanted me to be far more afraid of him than afraid of police, because he didn't, he wanted me to be afraid to come home if I was doing silliness out there in the streets.
See, well, yeah, but that's maybe why much less people did silliness out there in the streets back in the day. So we got to find this like happy medium where parents, without without terrorizing their children, still somehow gain the respect and understanding from them, so that they are well-developed, upstanding citizens of society.
Yeah, well, I think I'm all of that, and probably have post-traumatic stress disorder. So I think
thank you, Dad. Thank you.
Yeah. So it's either have the really cool parents and go out there and do some silly shit, or have the parent that's gonna kick that ass when you get home, and I'm a tax-paying, upstanding member of
who needs to take naps every day because I'm so stressed out.
Oh my God. You know what? It's a whole nother podcast.
Yeah, we'll talk about that sometime. We'll address your parental trauma at a different day.
Never.
We'll
never address that.
Okay, sorry.
Never.
Maybe never. Maybe
never.
Someday.
Someday never. But yeah. But no.
All right. Well, for everybody else, we're going to sign off. We'll see you next week.
Aren't they so pretty?
They're so pretty. Okay.
All right.
Bye.
Bye.